Now, out of curiosity, by a show of hands, how many people have ever had an interaction with someone and they did something, for the life of you, you could not understand why they did the thing that they did? I like that. Out of curiosity, who has ever been in a situation where someone came to you with a problem? You knew exactly how to solve that problem. You told them exactly what they should do to solve said problem, and you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were not going to follow your advice. Okay. And how many people, after a conversation like that, and not here, of course, you kind of lost a little bit of hope in humanity, just a smidge. Just a smidge. Well, this is my promise to you. By the end of my time with you today, you will understand exactly why people make the choices they make. That's a big promise, but I promise you, this concept, this theory will break it down. You will also understand why the feedback you've given to people does not work. And when it does, you will understand why and what to do about it. And my personal hope is to regain a little faith in humanity. Does that sound good or good? Good or good? All right. Now, you know this for your businesses, for your organizations. Your organizations will only go as far as your people will take it. Meaning, if you have good people, great things happen. If you have bad people, it don't matter how good the product is. Bad things is going to happen. So how can we better understand people so we can influence and connect with them? If you understand the 60 years of research I'm about to break down with you today, your ability to connect with people, your ability to understand people, and as a very important aside, your ability to understand yourself. Have you ever dealt with a situation where you thought about something over and over and over again, and you know you shouldn't have, but you just can't let it go? I'm going to explain why that happens to you. If you've ever been in a situation, and by no means would I ever say that what I'm about to say is the solution to anxiety and depression, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is if you've ever been in a state where I just don't feel good and I don't know why, I'm going to explain why that happens. And if you let me, and if we get the time to, I'm going to show you some really powerful research and data-driven ways to better understand yourself, but here's the exciting part, to know where you're going. We got a lot to cover, and I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can. Normally, I've done this training for organizations 6 to 8 hours, and we still scratch the surface. I normally will do a minimum of 2 hours. We have less than an hour today. So I'm going to try to give you as much as I can, but I also want you to know I'm going to move fast. If anyone is like, oh, Lord, have mercy, he moved too quickly, I got you. I have a summary that I've created that I will give to everyone. So if you like to take notes, feel free to take notes. If you don't like taking notes, but you'd like to lock in, all good. I will make sure you get that bonus. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. Now, my promise is that you will discover the big domino that will forever shift your perspective with how you understand others and yourself. Now, my work that I'm sharing with you is not mine. It is from this incredible researcher named Dr. Suzanne Cook-Greuter. I've been very fortunate enough to study with her. You've never heard of her before. That's fine. She's genius. She's brilliant. She's taken 60 years of research, codified it into this incredible research paper. However, this is the only thing I will say about the research paper. Does anyone like to read research papers here? Any of those people? A few of us, okay? This is a 100-page research paper. That is a heavy research paper, okay? Not only that, allow me to read you the title. 9 Levels of Increasing Embrace and Ego Development, a Full Spectrum Theory of Vertical Growth and Meaning-Making, Post-Autonomous Ego Development by Dr. Suzanne Cook-Greuter. If you are anything like me, you've got no idea what I just said. Now, the only criticism, and criticism is such the wrong word, but the only word I can think of this work, is that it really is only accessible to the highest levels of academia currently. So the researchers are out of Princeton and Harvard and Boston College. They've taken 60 years of research, hundreds of thousands of data points from multiple independent researchers that have proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that all adults, regardless of your gender, regardless of where you were born, regardless of the language spoken, regardless of your economic class, pass through predictable stages of development. Each stage has different characteristic traits, desires, goals, core motivators. And you've experienced this before. You've experienced this before. Why? You realize the person you are today is not the same person that you were 10 years ago. Now, we've all said, oh, that's a totally different person, but we've never actually understood the exact process of how that happens. This research has. So what my job is to take this incredibly rich, amazing research, which you can look up yourself, and you should, and try to make it simple so that everyone can understand. Now, I will say one thing, and this is worth saying. Don't let the simplicity of what I'm saying confuse you with the effectiveness of this work. It is very nuanced, it's very rich. I'm gonna make it simple, but it works. You just gotta apply it. So, how do we understand what this theory is, adult development theory? Now, I'm assuming many of you have heard of generations before. Show of hands if you've heard of generations before. Okay, so you've heard of Gen Z and Gen Y and baby boomers, and ooh, baby boomers love using typewriters, and Gen Z loves some TikTok, right? And there's like, this person likes to write in cursive, and blah, 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 right? So there's all this stuff that we've learned about generations. The easiest way to understand generations is generations are about your age. Adult development is about your stage. Said a little bit more deeply, your generation says, based upon how old you are, you will make certain decisions and process the world a certain way. Adult development theory says, based on how mature you are, you will process the world in different ways. And I'll prove this to you. How many of you have ever met someone who's like 50 years old, but they act like they're in junior high school? It don't matter that they old, they not mature. And conversely, how many of you met someone, or maybe this is you, even though you might be young in age, maybe you're in your 20s, you kind of have an old soul. Or you met someone, they just track a little bit more. That's maturity. You understand? So just because someone has a generation, that research is amazing and it's true. And there's great things like personality. You've heard of Myers-Briggs, and you're a blue and a yellow. What's up, girl? I just saw you was here. What's up? Blue and red and all that kind of stuff, right? Here's the thing. Your generation will never change. Your personality, for the most part, will never change. Your stage of development does. The reason why that distinction is so important is because this is where you can actually affect change on yourself and others, because this is what evolves. And by the way, whether Dwayne and Lauren know it or not, they're helping you move through these stages in a certain way. They're forcing you out of the old way into the new way. So who you are is still you, but the way you see and process the world changes. Now, said a little bit differently, and I know this will be valuable for you, how many people here have heard of child development theory before? Yes, I expected that. Now, for all of us who know child development theory, we understand that it works in steps and stages. So if you just wait 0 to 2, you'll do that. And by the way, if you haven't heard of child development theory, there's something called object permanence as an example. So object permanence is when you're between like 0 and 2, you ain't got it. So you could go to a 6-month-old and play peekaboo, and it's the best game in the whole wide world, isn't it? You put your hands in front of your face, peekaboo, and the kid's like, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? You was gone and then you just came back. But if you play peekaboo with a 16-year-old, you're gonna get arrested for stranger danger. Does that make sense? Right? Because they've developed object permanence. So they know you're just putting your hands behind your head and you're a creeper and not a cool uncle, right? So that's child development theory. Adult development theory is a little bit more nuanced. These stages are more like these nesting dolls. So when you go through one stage, you don't bypass the stage. It becomes a part of you. So you can access it if you need to, but your primary stage, or what we call your center of gravity, becomes that outermost shell. Said a little bit differently, I first learned how to crawl, then I learned how to walk. I don't lose my ability to crawl. Does that make sense? I can still crawl when I need to, but I primarily choose to walk. Then I learn how to run. I don't lose my skill set of walking. I don't lose my skill set of crawling, but maybe I choose to run sometimes and I choose to walk most of the time. Are you with me? So I didn't lose the skill of walking because I learned the skill of running. Where with child development theory, you move from stage to stage, and unless something traumatic or wild happens, you've owned it and you move on from it. So these become a part of you so you can access them at certain times, but typically your primary way of interacting with the world comes from your primary stage or center of gravity. Now, there are 9 stages technically. I only like to focus on 4. Why, Arel, do you only focus on 4 if there are 9? Because 85% of the population you meet, for many of us, more than 85% of the population we meet will fall into one of these 4 what's called conventional stages. There's pre-conventional, and these people are adults, but folks in the pre-conventional stage are like adults with developmental disabilities. So they are they need someone else to help them live. Does that mean they're not an adult? Of course they're an adult. But the way they process the world is just different because of that. And we have something called post-conventional, which is outside of this. Those people exist. Some of you might be in post-conventional stages. I don't talk about that too much in this particular presentation, simply because that represents about 10% of the population. So think of people like Mahatma Gandhi, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. Whether you like them or not is irrelevant. You can just agree they process the world very differently than the average Joe. So I want to focus on what's going to have the most impact to you, which are these 4 stages. Now, the reason why the 4 stages are important is because they are sequential. I'm going to say that again. These stages are sequential. So what that means is, if you're in one, you can only go to the next stage. You can't jump a stage. People go, okay, now that I know the stages, I like that stage over there. Can I jump over there? 60 years of research says no. And I know there's someone in the room that's gonna be like, but you never met me though. Good luck. Best of luck. I hope you try, do your best. It doesn't work. If you've never run a 5K before, don't start with a marathon. Does that make sense? Don't start with a David Goggins ultra marathon if you've never done a 5K. So you start with the process, it'll be much better. So what's beautiful about this is if you can identify the stage you are in, you know what's coming next. What's even more beautiful for many of you in the room, if you can identify the stage of your team members, not only will you understand them right now, you'll know how to best develop them for the future. This is where leadership development and culture becomes so important. And we heard about culture a little bit earlier. We've been talking about getting the best team. The reason why this is so valuable is sometimes what happens is someone's at a later stage and they speak to someone from that later stage. And the person in the earlier stage don't understand nothing you talking about. You ever have like a really old wise person talk to you and they'd be like, sometimes the water drips only because the sun hasn't risen yet. And you're like, I don't get it. What? The sun, like, we're inside. What are you talking about? But someone else will be like, word. Word. It doesn't mean you're dumb. It just means they're operating from a stage of understanding that's different than yours. That's it, okay? Now, crucially important fundamental idea before we go into the stages. There's 2 kinds of growth you will all experience in life. 2 kinds of growth. How many styles? 2. One is called horizontal growth. Horizontal growth is the kind of growth that changes what we do. Okay? This is the kind of growth that develops new skill sets and knowledge. So for example, here's how you close more sales. Horizontal growth. Does that make sense? Here's how you become a better person is vertical growth. Vertical growth is a type of growth that changes who we are. This is the kind of growth that develops our mindsets, our perspectives, and our value systems. And I'll prove it to you. Now, we have lots of different ages in the room, okay? So if you are older, this might be easier. If you're younger, you'll know what's coming ahead easier than what happened behind you. But for those of us who have a little bit more gray in our faces, or, well, maybe some ladies got some gray in their beards, I ain't gonna talk about it. But my point is, I apologize, that was inappropriate. I apologize to everyone. Some lady was like, no, just for men. So, for those of us who are, say, like, at least 40 or at least 30, okay, would you agree with the statement that the things you cared about, the things that you were excited about, the things that bothered you 15 years ago are not the same things you care about, you value, and bother you today? Is that a fair assumption? Right? I remember when I was in my 20s, like, if you stepped on my sneakers, it was the worst disrespect in the world. Now it's like, let it slide. I got other things to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So that's vertical growth. A lot of what you experience on day one of what happened here is vertical growth. A lot of what happened on day two is horizontal growth. They're both important. Most people focus on just one or the other. When you focus on both, ooh-wee. Now, this is important to know about vertical growth and horizontal growth, okay? You are not guaranteed to go from one stage to the next. You can actually spend your whole life in one stage. This is important. You know people like this. You was chilling with them in high school, they 50 years old, they the same person. They've not vertically grown at all. So what happens is you can actually, what's different between adult development theory and child development theory is if you wait long enough. With child development theory, you'll move on to a next developmental stage. In adult development theory, if you do not grow vertically, you can stay in a stage and get really good at that stage for your whole life. Some people say things like, I'm 50 years old, you can't talk to me like that. No, you're 10 years old with 40 years of experience. Very different. Very different. Right? Some of y'all like, I know that person. So the reason why that's important is because if we choose to vertically grow, you will go from the earlier stage to the later stage. In sequential order, you do not pass go, you do not do this. I will talk about this now just because time is of the essence. When you are in between stages, that feels like death. Because literally, your old self is dying. So sometimes when you wake up and you're sad, and you're like, this used to make me happy. I used to love going out and getting wings with the fellas. Now I just don't wanna. What's wrong with me? Nothing. You're vertically growing. The challenge is, until you understand this theory, you'll just think, I don't know what's wrong with me. These things that used to bring me, and watch, I'll prove it to you. Who in the room has had an experience where things used to mean so much to you, and now they don't, but now you've replaced them with things that mean the world to you, and you're so much better for it? That's vertical growth. But that period in between stages is what's called your growth edge. Your growth edge feels like death because it is a metaphorical death of your old self. So the next time you feel super sad and super depressed, and by no means am I saying this is the answer to all of that. I do not believe that. It's a very complex, important subject that needs a medical professional to deal with. However, it is also possible that maybe, just maybe, you're growing. And it's not such a sad thing, but you have to know where you're going. So what I'd like to do is show you how these stages work so you can have an understanding of where you might be, where people around you are, and where you can grow. Does that sound good? Yeah. If y'all ready to do this, turn to the person next to you, give them a high five and say, you are awesome. All right. Now what I would love for you to do, come on, if you're giving them out, if you giving them out, I'm taking them. All right. Now, as we go through these 4 stages, I would like you to think of 2 people. The first person I'd like for you to think of is yourself. What hit home for you? The next thing I want you to think of is someone in your life who you love, but persistently and consistently don't get along with. Okay? And if you don't got that person, good for you. But if you do have that person, it's about to get really good. So think of someone who you love. You just persistently don't get along with. But you love them. You may not always like them, but you love them, okay? And I want you to think of yourself. Let's go through the first stage. The first stage is called the self-centric, self-protective opportunist, okay? Now, what happens at this stage, just before anybody starts to get all judgy, every single one of y'all have been in or is in this stage, so don't judge it. It's humanity, okay? Here's the first characteristic of this stage. First one, you see the world through the lens of I win, you lose. The world is a zero-sum game. The way that you process the world is there's winners in this world and there's losers in this world. And that's the way it is. Now, what happens when you believe the world is a zero-sum game, either you win or I lose. Or either I win and you lose. And at this stage, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I hate to lose. Have you ever met someone who you do well, and then all of a sudden that's a threat to them? You're like, why? Because in this world, I win, you lose. If you're winning, that means I am. Now, for many of us, we might know that's not how the world works. You can win and I can win, right? Not at this stage. So you can talk to someone like, yo, everyone can win. And they're like, no, that's not how the world works. And you say, no, that is how the world works. And you go, that's not how the world works. At this stage, that is how the world works. Winners, losers, zero-sum game. You are a one-man or one-woman wolf pack. You might be around people, but you could drop them in a heartbeat. You don't need people. You need them to the extent that they are valuable to you. Does that make sense? So what you do to develop your characteristics is you create what we call a two selves. You have two selves. You have your inner self, which is your true self, and you have your outer self, which is the self you use to interact with the world. Those two people do not have to be the same person. This is big. You ever have a conversation with somebody, and you having a great convo with them, chit-chatting, blah, 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 what you think about the Bucks? I don't know, I like the Buffalo Bills. This is a great conversation. Third person comes in. Oh, y'all talking football? Oh, yeah, we talking football. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I think that, blah, blah, blah is going to do well. Oh, great, great, blah, blah, blah. And then they leave, and then the person you're talking to goes, I hate that person. I can't stand the way they breathe. And you like, yo, we was just having a wonderful conversation. How is that possible? Because I can be someone else on the outside, and I don't have to really feel or believe that on the inside, and there's no incongruency there. There are some people, and again, if this is you, just be aware of it. Oh, this is how we talk in the house, but we don't talk like that outside of the house. You know what I'm saying? It's comfortable and okay to be one way here, but a different way there. Are you with me? That comes from this stage. Now, some people are like, them people is two-faced. Not to them. This is how I navigate the world. If I really let people know what I really thought and felt, I wouldn't navigate and win society. If you really knew what I thought and believed all the time, I would never win. I'm a horrific person on the inside, whatever, right? So you learn how to play the game. How do you learn how to play the game? You become very interested in learning as much as you can about other people. But conversely, you never want anyone to know anything about you. Meaning you don't want to be the weakest link. I want to know everything about you just in case I need it. That's why gossip spreads so quickly. Yo, you ain't heard it from me. As soon as you hear that, get out. Nothing good will follow, but you know what most people do? I won't say nothing. What happened? Well, I'm not going to say you heard it. So this is why gossip is so interesting, because I want to know about you in case I need it. And I don't know if you ever met someone who has ever said something like this. Are you sure you want to test me? Are you sure you want to test me? Because I know some things about you. You want me to tell the things I know about you? And you're like, no. But then if I ask you questions about you, generic answers, you'll never get to know who I really am. What's going on? When you hear people open up the way they did day one here, do you get why that's not normal out there? It's not, because most people would be like, nah, I can't share this. But lots of people can. You saw it here today. It's 100% possible. Now, the way that you deal with conflict is in two different ways. It's two sides of the same coin. The first is called self-protect, meaning you get away from things. These are people who will ghost you like that, because you no longer serve them. How many of you have ever had someone quit and they never told you? They just don't show up. This job don't serve me no more. I ghost, I'm out. The other thing that they do, oh, that's actually this one. That was that one, sorry. I went too fast. That's that one. Now the other one, whoop, beep, 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 is they dominate. Have you ever seen someone who tries to get what they want by physically making you feel uncomfortable? They'll get close to you. They'll start looking at you a certain way. They could be a 5-foot, 100-pound old woman, and they'll still use their physicality, and you'll be like, chill, gremlin, like that's nutso. You get what I'm saying? So it has, I don't know why I said that. I was thinking about Gremlin movie. You put water on them after midnight? Don't feed them? You know, okay. If you haven't seen that movie, you should. It's fantastic. It's called Gremlins. Okay, let me move on. All right. So, this is the kind of person that if they want to get something done, they want people to know they're there. See me. Know me when I get close to you. Because if you mess up, know I could do something about it. Or you disengage. You just totally ghost. Okay? Your time horizon, very important. This will save you a lot of arguments and challenges. The time horizon is now. I don't see 10 years into the future. You may, I don't. I'm trying to get to Friday. If I get to Friday, I'm good. So, you've all seen this chart. Okay, I shouldn't say you've all. How many people have seen this chart? If you just start saving $100 a month when you're 21 years old, and you do that every month, but you stop when you're 23, by the time you're 67, you'll have $1 billion. And everyone goes, I wish I would have saved $100 when I was 21 every month. But for most people, they don't. Why? Because the idea of saving $100 feels like you're taking $100 from me. Does that make sense? Because my time horizon is now. So if you go, no, but like if you put this money in an interest-bearing account at 8% compounded over time, by the time you're 65, you're going to be balling on this little bit of bread right now. And all they hear is you're taking $100 from me every month. So it's actually hard to get young people to save because their time horizon is now if they are in this stage. What drives someone at this stage? Their core driver above everything else, if you want to know what makes this person tick, is getting and defending. At this stage, nothing's ever my fault. I'll defend and blame everything else. You was late. Man, ain't nobody said for them to be that car accident and my car broke down and my gas, there was no gas. Who raised the gas prices? Ain't no eggs for some reason. I don't know where the eggs was. I was spending all day trying to get eggs and that's why I'm late. It's like, you was late. Just say you was late. You was late. That's it. But what happens is it's never my fault. It's always someone else's fault. And I want to get. So if there's free food, I want it. Hey, you want to come to our event? No, I'm not sure. There'll be free food. Proceed. I don't care about the event. I come for the food. So I want to get. If I get, I care. The skill set that you develop at this stage is a very important skill set. If you develop this skill set well at this stage, you'll do very well in life. If you don't develop this well, you'll have a lot of challenges moving forward. Some of you will relate to this. 2 skill sets. The first one is sniffing out opportunities. You get really good at figuring out what's something cool that I might want to spend my time with. The challenge is undeveloped. You go, I'm gonna be a crypto billionaire, and you put all your money into this great new shiny object that you don't really have because you're trying to get as much as you can, but it sounds like a great opportunity, and when the market falls, which it currently has, you might lose everything. Or if you don't develop this well, you jump from opportunity to opportunity. Have you ever met someone like this? Every month they're doing something new. They can't get compound success because they're jumping. Because every new opportunity is shinier and better than the next. So developed poorly, it does that. The other thing that is really important at this stage is you develop your ability to defend yourself, to stand up for yourself. Because that's very important. So your ability to not take crap from people depends upon how much you develop it during this particular stage. So if you don't take no crap from nobody, that happens in this stage. If you're a pushover, it could also happen at this stage. What is the biggest fear of this person? This will help you solve. If you start saying, oh my gosh, you are describing someone that I know, or maybe you're describing me, become aware of what will drive this person into fear. They won't call it fear, but it'll usually translate as anger. Being dominated by someone else. Oh, you want me to show up 10 minutes early, but you're not gonna pay me for that 10 minutes? I ain't nobody's fool. I ain't nobody's sucker. I ain't gonna do it. Oh, you want me to come in on a Sunday? You gonna pay me extra money for that Sunday? I know how this is. You trying to take advantage of me with your blue and green shirt. I hate you. Oh, yeah, I was like, was he? Yeah, so yeah. No, but you know what I'm saying? If I think you're trying to scam me, I won't let it happen. These people, they pride themselves in how they can't get scammed. They can scam all those, but they can't scam me. And that's why if you want someone to do something and it feels like you're taking advantage of them, they freak out. Okay? Now, how do you get someone to take action? How do you drive someone to do things? In this stage, whether you like it or not, they'll do things in the name of getting an outcome. So, saying things like, you should come to the E3 summit because it's going to help you up-level your life may not make this person want to come. You can go to Busch Gardens on my dime. I'll go. That's how it works. Is it right to this stage? Yeah. Now, if you're in this stage, everything makes sense that I just said. If you're in this stage, everything I just said is not a stage, it's the way life is. If you're not in this stage, you might see this and see the shortcomings of it. It's just your stage, that's all. So, very quick summary. Zero-sum game, you have two selves. You hide your weaknesses, you dominate and withdraw. Sniff out opportunities, you don't want to be dominated. Now, here's what's fascinating. I get this question all the time. How do you help someone move out of that stage? Number one, you can't. What you can do is help them realize the shortcomings of their stage, and they can decide for themselves if they want to up-level. Here is my best question to ask someone, okay? If you want to help someone up-level, try this out. It works wonders. Let's say someone's doing something you don't agree with, and you want to tell them, don't do that. It don't work. Do this. And it never works, and they never listen to you. Try this question on. Hey, I get that you've been doing it this way. I'm just curious. How has that been working for you? If they go, great, they're not ready to change. If they go, I hate it. It's not working. Oh, you like lying to be safe. How has that been working for you? Oh, well, I keep losing relationships. I can't stay in a relationship. Well, I hate it. Now you're ready to grow. I have to realize my limiting beliefs. And some people do, and they're ready to grow. And now you can help escort them on. If they're not ready, good luck. And you've tried this in the past. How did it work out for you? So it's a beautiful question. How has that been working for you? If someone has enough self-realization to say not well, then it opens up the chance for growth. Now, the next stage that you grow to. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to focus on these two stages here for time. I don't want to skim through the last ones. Hold on, I'm doing a quick thing in my head. Has this been helpful so far? Has this been helpful? Yeah. Okay. We'll do our best. There's a good chance I'm not going to get through all of them, or I could speed through them. Your choice. You choose. So, okay, cool. I'm going to speed through these. Yeah. I'm going to speed through them. I'm going to go quick because I got... What? Take your time. No, we got other speakers who are much better than me, so we got to open it up from... Okay, here we go. So once I do the one-person wolf pack and it's not working, what is the next stage of development? It's called group-centric or team player. What you realize is, me against the world ain't working no more. I've tried it. It don't work. How's me versus the world working for you? It's not. So you know what? I've got to be part of a group. I've got to be part of something that represents me. By the way, hint, hint, your businesses have the ability to do this for many people. But every group must have a culture. I've got the Harley Davidson and I got the investment bankers here. One's not better than the other, it's just different rules. Does that make sense? The way you dress in a Harley convention is different than how you dress at a Wall Street convention, you know what I'm saying? How you talk, how you act, it's just different. Now what happens when you have a group of people is by definition, a group needs an us and a them. That's the only way groups work. Because when I'm a part of a group, I'm on the inside, and people who are not on the inside are on the outside. That's how groups work. If you don't believe me, Republican, Democrat, you see? Are they political groups? Yes, but one has a certain conservative liberal, do you see what I'm saying? It has a certain way we do things and see things, and they, how many times have you heard that on the news? They keep doing this, they don't care about, you need a they. Now, you can do this in a very positive way, and again, whether Dwayne and Lauren know it consciously or unconsciously, they do a great job of that. Here, our us is high performers. If you don't want to be a high performer, that's cool. Here's what high performers do, here's what non-high performers do. You choose, us versus them. It's very important. You do that within your organization. You've got to have a culture. You just can't let it happen. You've got to be intentional about it. Because every group has rules, written and unwritten. You have rules, written and unwritten. There are certain things you will not tolerate. You never said it, it's just not on the table. It's just not what you do. I don't have to tell you that, right? I'm not gonna be disrespectful to any of the people who work here. No one has to tell me, hey, you're not gonna yell at Bree because she's been amazing back there getting things done. I'm not gonna yell at her. I would never do that. But no one has to tell me. That's an unwritten rule of etiquette that I abide by. And you know what, in this space, I don't think any of you would do that either. You know what I'm saying? That's an unwritten rule here. You're not gonna be disrespectful to anyone. Let's keep going through it. What drives someone at this stage? Sense of belonging. There is nothing more beautiful at this stage than feeling like you are part of a team. They represent you, you represent them. It is the best feeling. It is actually it is a human need to belong. We all need it. If you think you don't need it, that's probably because you're still self-centric. But if you move past that, you realize we do need group. We need it for happiness and success. It actually brings lots of joy and happiness. The skill set that you build at this stage is you become the glue that holds everything together. When you get really into the group-centric stage, you are the person that makes sure the team stays together. Some of you, when your family argues, you're the one that comes in and be like, we don't do that here. We love each other. We don't do this kind of fighting, right? So you're the glue. It's important. We need these kinds of people. They're extremely important because they make the culture of organizations stick. If you don't have this, organizations crumble, period. The biggest fear of this stage, very important, understand this. The biggest fear when I'm a part of a group is being ostracized from that group. So if I am group-centric and I'm a part of something and you do something and don't make me feel a part of it, it's like death. Be aware of it. I can give you lots of examples of this, but I think you get it. If you have team members, you got 5 people that work for your organization. 4 of them eat meat, and 1 of them is a vegetarian. You want to go to one of them Brazilian steakhouses where they cut kangaroos and give out kangaroo meat, right? So you don't invite that person because they're like, they don't want to see that. And then you post a picture of everyone enjoying themselves and they see that picture. What are they going to think? They don't like me. That's death. It's a huge fear. So be aware of it. How you get a team player to take action? They will do things in the name of the group's betterment. I will do things to make the team better. I will elevate the team. If you are very big into your religion, you might choose to say, I will make this religion look better because of how I interact with the world. I grew up in the projects on welfare in Brooklyn. Whenever I meet someone, I know I represent a whole group of people I may never meet. But every time someone interacts with me, I want them to be like, people from the project ain't that bad. I represent that. That's important to me, okay? Now, let's go skill-centric. I'm gonna go through this super fast because I got like 5 minutes. I'm gonna go through this super fast. Y'all ready? After group-centric, what is next? It's called skill-centric. So you're part of a group. All of you might have experienced this with your martial arts practice or with your cheerleading or with your dance. You became part of the martial arts fabric. It's your people, but then it wasn't good enough to just do martial arts. You needed to become a 7th degree black belt like Melanie Johnson. You needed to win the big cup. I don't do martial arts like that guy over there in that over there. I do the real stuff. We don't do that stuff over there. They don't hit nobody over here. We break noses over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be a skill. You got to, like, break cinder blocks with eggs in your hand, you know? That was for you, Kev. All right. Characteristic traits. Go through it fast. You need the group. You don't want to be a part of the group, but you got to separate yourself from the group. You do that typically through a skill, something you're better at than everyone else. I don't want to just be in business. I want to be the head of sales. I don't want to just be in business. I want to be the head of logistics. I need a skill, something that's going to make me stand out more than everyone else so they know I'm a part of them, but I'm not like them. You become a perfectionist, and so annoying because nothing's ever good enough for you to your standard from other people in the thing you're skilled at. And you're not annoying because you're annoying. You actually think, like, I want to make you better. This is my skill. I know so much about it. Let me help you. But then what happens is you nitpick, you nitpick, you nitpick, you nitpick, you nitpick. You can't just say what's good. You got to point out what's bad. And your favorite phrase is, yes, but. Hey, I think we should do this idea, and I think it's going to be really good. Oh, that's a great idea. I love it. But have you thought about blah, 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 blah? You put 3 experts in a room, 6-hour meeting. Okay. Core driver, comparing and perfecting. You compare yourself constantly. Oh, Lord have mercy, go to a martial arts thing, and you're really good, but then you see that other person who's also really good. You start watching them, how they warming up. They warm up sucks. They start winning. Damn it! I should have won that. You compare, and then you want to perfect. There's no bottom to your skill. It's an infinite game. So your skill set is that you're just better at certain things. And you read things, you care about things. You spend an obscene amount of hours on something that other people would think is ridiculous, and it's not. And the society, organizations, we need people good at what they do. Your biggest fear, is being just like everyone else again. I never want to be cookie cutter. You fear losing what makes you special. In fact, it doesn't matter how much you get. You got to get more. Because if you don't get more, you're going to be just like you used to be. And you don't want to be that person. How do you get this person to take action? They will do things in the name of being better at their expertise. Yo, come to the E3 Summit. You going to love it. Nah, I don't know. You going to learn how to be better at breaking board. Hell yeah, I want to go. If that's your thing, you know what I'm saying? If I'm like, oh, Melody Johnson's going to be there. She's going to teach me skills. She's coming up next. She's going to teach me this. I'll show up just for her. Because that's a very specific skill I want to develop. And then some of y'all will say things like this. I don't care about all that personal development stuff. I don't need any of that. Give me the sales. That's the reason I'm here. I want the sales. Skill-centric, okay? Okay, expert is special, critical, perfectionist, air of superiority, good at their craft, fear of losing what makes them special. I got one more. I'm going to go through it quick because I only got a few more minutos. Helpful? Okay, let's keep going. Once you get really good at your skill, you can stay in one of these stages your whole life. But if you want to vertically grow, here's what the next stage is. A lot of you will get this because you spent your whole life as the puncher and the kicker. And then after a while, you realize it doesn't matter how many classes I teach. I can't teach them all. It don't matter how many people I kick in the face. I can't kick every face, though I may try. So what you realize is you have to move into the next stage, which is called self-authoring or achiever. At this stage, you want to develop other people. You don't have to be the player on the floor anymore. You can be the coach on the sideline, and it brings you just as much joy. I want to know what makes you tick so I can get the best out of you, because if I can get the best out of you, that's my joy. I don't need to be the guy taking the last shot with 3 seconds left. I want to empower you to see yourself as being the person who can take the last shot, and you don't see it right now, but I know you can do it, and my joy is getting you to that spot. That's what happens at this stage. You realize there's more than one way of doing things. Yo, some people just want to do adult classes. That's cool. I could also do after school. And some of you did not do after school and summer programs until you got involved here. But you realize there's more than one way to do something, and they're all valid. Hey, I'm Jewish, you're not. Cool, there's more than one way to live. Hey, you eat meat, I don't eat meat. Cool, there's one more way to live. Do you, boo-boo, it don't affect me none, I'm happy for you. There's more than one way to see the world, and there is. I also can see timelines for the first time. For the first time, I can see how my past affected who I am today. Yo, this is why I care about this, because when I was a kid, this happened. Remember when Dwayne was talking about the first time you had that thought when you were a kid and you said, oh snap, I'm starting to realize that I created this story of what food is supposed to be. Now I get why I do this. You can start breaking that down. You can also see the future with clarity. 20 years in the future is as clear to you as today. And you become goal obsessed. I want to achieve goals, I want to do goals, I want to move the ball forward. You want to measure, you want to be like, I had 27 kids last year, I got 97 kids this year. Dope, right? That gets, you'll look at a spreadsheet in a new way, okay? What drives you at this stage? Analyzing and achieving. Achieving is everything. You want to get goals for the sake of goals. You want a car and you can't explain why you want the car, you just want the car. Why you want the car? I just want the car! Before, you may have wanted a car to impress somebody. Before, you may have wanted a car because everyone in your neighborhood drove that car. Now, I just want the car because it's a goal that I set. I want to drive a Tesla. I'm going to get a damn Tesla. And then when you get it, it feels so good. For like a minute. Skill set. You develop other people. This is what you do really well. You care about it. You're good at it. That's your skill set. You take someone who's a really good skill-centric person, you make them a manager, they suck. Because when you're skill-centric and you manage, you give someone a task and then you take it back. Because no one can do it as good as you. At this skill, you're okay with people failing because you want them to be the best version of themselves. The biggest fear of this stage, I'm about to punch some of y'all in the stomach metaphorically. What is the biggest fear of this stage? Not being successful is taken as a sign of betraying your deepest potential. It keeps you up at night. If I don't do this, I betrayed the skill I developed. I betrayed the people that I love. I betrayed myself. It drives you nuts. Because if you're not successful, it means that you didn't live up to your own potential. And that scares you more than anything else in this world. How do you get an achiever to take action? Work is done through the context of creating better results and being more effective. If this will get me better results, I will do it. If it doesn't, I am not interested. Now, you might notice, but Arel, I noticed more than one in me. What's up with that? It's called tri-stage movement. You have where you were, where you are, where you're going at all times. Where you are, where you were, where you are, where you're going. So tri-stage movement is normal, but there's one stage that you will make the majority of your decisions from. Okay, so you'll have a balance there. Was this helpful? Okay, very cool.